Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here once again to review another One Piece chapter. Chapter 1093, Luffy and Kizaru. I will admit I am very late on this and really close to tomorrow because it was the official translation for the next chapter. But I decided to try and review this as quickly as I can so I can prepare for the next chapter at some point during the week. But anyway, like I said, Luffy Kizaru. Before that, we've got another reader request as we've got these things called the Tarsi brothers stealing Kobe and Hepamao's eyewear by Black Beans. My understanding that Taisa brothers are like the smallest monkeys or something about. I don't know. They seem to be a bit related to. They seem to be somewhat related to like Luffy's monkey-like habits, but yeah. But you pretty much see Kobe just smiling, trying to politely ask them back, and Happono just demanding them back from the monkeys, good cop, bad cop, if you will. Which I can totally see working with these two Marines, but yeah, it's a nice little cover. But anyway, on to the next chapter, onto the actual chapter itself, after leaving it off from like the cliffhanger, where Luffy went to Gear 5 and grabbed Kizaru. We continue that off here with this chapter. Everyone a bit shocked by Luffy's appearance still. And let's see Kizaru talking about how this isn't good as Luffy starts spinning him. He's going like, now. As Luffy spins him around like the Tasmanian devil, if I had to guess. Telling Luffy not to get carried away as Luffy throws him. And Luffy's just enjoying doing everything. As Luffy is throwing Kizaru away, everyone just is told to hurry up and run while Luffy keeps Kizaru busy. With Chopper asking where Atlas is going, with Atlas revealing that she's going to go down to take control of the Paphistas again. Otherwise, they will be zapped by their lasers. Once the barrier gets down and all that, so and bring them back onto the side so they don't get shot at. Believing that it's probably the best idea, but as the other Vegapunks point out that there is no higher authority than them whatsoever on the island, and whoever controls them wins. And this is clear that they are not yet aware that Saint Saturn of the Five Elders is here. And you've got the main Vegapunk Stella going along with them. But Usopp thinks that's a bad idea since, this, because the world government is after your life, so you going down there will jeopardize the whole point of their rescue mission. Vegapunk ends up messaging Frankie, and he ends up asking if Bonnie down there with them, with Frankie saying that she's alive. With Frankie surprised that she's alive. My mistake. And glad that's the case because he thought that she might have been dead after Kizaru kicked her into the barrier. Was at least worried of her condition as that. With Vegapunk being mad that how on earth a grown man like her allowed her to get kicked. With him apologizing and saying she'll help as she can, but is worried about the barrier. And then you get Sanji interrupting on the conversation when they're in the building A, second floor with Jinbei, where he says that if Bonnie needs rescuing, he'll be there because Sanji always wants to will always rescue a damsel in distress, if you will. And Jinbei has revealed that they've managed to pack up all their luggage for Vegapunk as he will head towards the rear exit, and we'll meet everyone else there. Anyway, below in the I believe the Faber phrase, well, just pretty much the main island bits of the building. You have Marines searching for Julie Bonnie out there, warning about her abilities, as she could tweak to their age. As you see, a bunch of Marines either as babies or young kids or as old men trying to find her or cursing her for what she's did. As you can see her hiding with her putting up the hood of her outfit. with the Marines revealing that they have spotted Sentomaru. And as she is just commenting about what happened, as we cut back to a flashback of once she got hit by the barrier, she fell with Sentomaru catching her so that she doesn't fall down and damage herself, with Sentomaru telling Bonnie that she needs to run before the Navy gets here, with her thinking about Sentomaru's condition. But she's wondering how she can get out of here, and let's see how she can get out of here and how long she can hide from all how she can hide until the Marines are able to how she can hide from the Marines while this is all going on, and wondering if she just has to wait until it all blows over, but that probably isn't the best case. Anyway, we cut to back to the labo phase with Luffy laughing, asking Zoro how is he doing with his fight, asking if he wants help. But Zoro tells him to just focus on Kizaru, as you see Zoro and Rob Lucci going at it, with like Rob Lucci using his claws and Zoro using his swords. And it seems that Zoro is using his King of Flame Hell abilities as well as Advanced Conqueror's Haki, with Zoro saying, is this the best, mocking Rob Lucci, saying, is this really the best you can do? Because if so, don't expect to get a chance to fight their captain again. With Rob Lucci just laughing, saying, we'll see, saying that the number 2 of an Emperor of the Sea is more than worth killing on his own. Seemingly implying that Rob Lucci seems to have accepted Luffy as a Yonko now, compared to what he said like just a bunch of chapters ago, and decide that, he's going to just kill. He's fine with just killing Zoro, though granted, I wonder if he's just mocking Zoro for being a number 2. But who knows? I'll get more into that later. But anyway, we see Kizaru continue to fly as he notices that he's falling to the ocean, and he seems to steer course, partly with, I think, his laser abilities, and uses the Yasasakani Sacred Jewel to shoot a bunch of laser beams of himself back to the island where Luffy is, and created doppelgangers of himself, much to Luffy's shock. He's doing the cartoon Popeye thing, as then Kizaru ends up bringing the Akanamari sword, and they all attempt to try and slash Luffy, but I think he does get a bit of though one does manage to graze him, and he feels the pain for a bit. As then Luffy uses the Dawn Whip, thinking that this is the Viz, as he ends up just kicking a few of them and realizing that they're all just hollow fakes, and is trying to find the real one, as you see a bunch of the Kizaru's clones marching forward, sort of it's like a sort of after effect of someone speeding around, if you will. But granted, this is them all chasing Luffy as he's running, I should probably mention, in this sort of cartoon style. But as they're all in that circle, Luffy realizes that tells them that he's tricked them, as he then uses the move Gum Gum Dawn Stamp, hitting them all out, wiping out all the clones at once. But Luffy realizes that the real one's not amongst them, and it's head back to where Vegapunk is, much to his doing Shark Face, or at least where the lab was. And this, though granted, Vegapunk has already left, and Kizaru has Usopp by the hand, with Luffy being annoyed that he got tricked by Kizaru again, as he's doing more of that Popeye thing. With Kizaru wondering where on earth the real Vegapunk is. Anyway, we then cut to where Vegapunk is, with his sort of tank, a sort of glass ball with a bunch of wheels on the side. With Sanji complaining about Vegapunk not letting him in. And Sanji's concerned with what's gotten into him with that crazy look. Vegapunk's being all determined, saying the Navy better not dare touch Bonnie. as he says he's coming to save her, and he says that he won't leave a poor little child behind to die. Luffy ends up being shocked about Red Sea calling Vegapunk Appleman, saying that don't go into the open, otherwise they'll kill you, as Kizaru points his laser finger at them and starts to shoot, but Luffy jumps in front and eats a laser as lights come out of him as he goes, yeah, it burns! As Luffy sort of creates a laser light show with his gear abilities. We see Franky hop on as the tank crosses path with him and Lilith, saying he'll go too, and tells Lilith to use the General Franky to carry the ship, which she agrees to do so. And then we cut to the coast of Egghead, where the Marines are getting alert that Vegapunk has descended from the Labosphere, where we see, I think, Edison partly deactivating the Frontier Dome, and apparently it's react. Hold on. And then reactivating again soon, or something else. I can't quite understand this translation, but we see Atlas shouting out to all Paphistas, telling them to pay attention, saying that she has new orders, telling them all to wipe out all the Navy soldiers on this island, as you hear the radio waves coming through one of their ears, as we see at the last panel, Saturn just standing there, with his eyes all dark and shaded out, listening to Atlas's orders to wipe out the Navy forces. Ending the chapter. Well, I will admit, this is quite the fun chapter, though granted, I will admit, for a chapter titled Luffy versus Kizaru, it's pretty... It doesn't, like I've been saying, half the chapter doesn't really have Luffy versus Kizaru, but you know what? I think but that's fine. I've pretty much satisfied with a lot of the stuff we got in this fight, and I think it's pretty good, especially with Gear 5's creativity. I do like how Luffy's just spinning and throwing Kizaru. Now, granted, Kizaru does not seem to have the sort of face reaction at all, so even when Luffy's just throwing him about, so it seems Kizaru just cannot change his face, if you will. At least he can't change the expression much, but I do like how Luffy throws him all the way up to the ocean. But I think Luffy's letting the effects of the Gear 5 affect him, as he's just being too silly to go take serious straight away. But I do like how Kizaru is able to fly about using his light abilities and then come back later and create clones of himself, which arguably it seems that in many ways this clone's it seems to be kind of similar to the clones of kind of reminds me of the clones in Naruto, although perhaps maybe not as they may not be as versatile, I'm not entirely sure, but where they can attack and harm people, but Luffy can try and stomp them, but they just disappear. But yeah, I do like but I do like how we got on more abilities of the Kizaru's abilities, and the fact that he can actually clone himself, which is terrifying. And if he used that in the War of Marineford, then I think there'd be a lot of panic amongst the Whitebeard pirate side. But I guess Kizaru didn't really feel the need to use that ability in that war. But I think they figured, okay, with someone with Luffy's abilities of Gear 5's awakening, I probably need to create an army of myself to try and keep him occupied, which the clones do keep him occupied. As Luffy tries to kick them, then they disappear, and then he ends up running around trying to figure out which one is the real one. But I do like how Luffy tricks them all to following them into a sort of circle line, and then to try and stomp them. Ends up realizing that the real one used the clones to distract him while he went to go back to find Vegapunk. I do like how when Kizaru does eventually find, though granted, Kizaru first holds Usopp at hostage at grab point. I will admit, I'm a little surprised that Usopp isn't doing his absolute most terrified face by the fact that an animal has him in the palm of his hands. But yeah, but let's see. But the bit of this fight but the fighting part with Luffy and Kizaru concludes with this part. Well, not the actual fight itself, but the last bit we see, of course, is Luffy absorbing Kizaru's light as he aimed one of it at Luffy at the Vegapunk, and Luffy ends up, despite burning, is able to shoot light out of every part of his body with the Gear 5, just showing like sort of like dynamite effect that you kind of had with cartoons, I guess, if you will, in the classic Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes way. So even though it seems like what I've said seems pretty quick for the fight, it is, but I think it's pretty good, and I do like the sort of creativity of this fight with Kizaru's clones and Luffy's all different kinds of stamping and just eating the light show thing. The only thing I'm disappointed is that in the fight is that we're not really seeing Luffy using Conqueror's Haki, especially when Zoro was shown using it. But I think the creativity of Gear 5 makes up for it. But who knows? But I have a feeling that we will have to eventually see it with Luffy at some point against Kizaru, because because Gear 5 by itself probably wouldn't be able to hit Kizaru, though granted that perhaps the Gear 5's wacky abilities would allow Luffy to do so, but who knows. But I would like to see how a Yonko with Conqueror's Haki can actually damage a Yonko, particularly like a Yonko from like the pre-time skip generation, given the fact they're all Logia abilities. But yeah, it's a pretty good fight for the most part. Anyway, but yeah, what else is there? Anyway, I do like how the Vegapunks are strategizing on what to do, particularly Atlas wanting to go down and give the orders to like the Paphistas to do it. And you see it at the end of the chapter. They're thinking that this will turn the tide, but they're unaware that Saint Saturn is there. And you can see, and you get a little bit of that reminder at the end that all the Vegapunk, this is an order from Vegapunk, take out all the Marines. But I do like how they need to try and get them on their side so they won't end up being shot by the Paphistas later. Granted, no, interesting. We end up seeing also learning about how much Vegapunk or Stella seems to care about Barney, that he's willing to go down to try and save her and get risks from being aimed at the Marines, as they're the priority target, despite people talking about that, particularly Usopp and Luffy, which I remember Luffy ends up doing a lot of the bobble eyes from the cartoon of shocked reactions. More than I was expecting, but I guess it was like Kizaru tricked me. Yeah, Vegapunk, you're out in the open. So I can understand Vegapunk let Luffy would do all those reactions, but yeah. But I do like how Sanji, well, Ritzy granted, I tend to get annoyed with Sanji's womanizing things, but heck, even when he refuses to fight them, though I will admit, recently, I think I even said that during like when Sanji was fighting Queen, but I will admit I've recently after rewatching Sanji and Zeph moments from the anime after watching the live action, and particularly Whole Cake Island, I can understand why Sanji would always never want to harm a woman and why he'd probably rather save them, which I will admit, let's see, for the moment, Sanji trying to rescue Barney, I think it's fine, and I don't think it's too bad with him just reacting the way he is, like I probably would have done, let's see, probably like a few years back, but yeah. But I do like how you see him and Jinbei were initially trying to get all the Vegapunk's stuff ready for like transportation, so yeah, I do like that, but yeah. Anyway, just to talk about Bonnie. Let's see. I will admit, once again, Bonnie's shown to be quite effective with like her aging powers to neutralize quite a lot of Marines, even if it's not really killing them, but it leaves them helpless to either shoot her or chase her down. Well, granted, but you pretty much have Vegapunk speeding away. But one thing to probably address is that due to the way that some of the translations were done, and even the spoilers, even what Vegapunk refers to there, let's see, you've got more of that talk of Bonnie being let's see, a young person, which I'm still against, mostly because of just how Oda's portrayed Bonnie in the past. Even if 24, even if her 24 isn't her actual age. And I also think I recall someone saying how Bonnie visited Vegapunk's lab decades ago. So that might be the case, though that might also lead to the theory that Bonnie's actually a clone, but I'd rather not get into that right now. But yeah. But I just the way Vegapunk is talking about Bonnie in one of the pages and some of the translations that have happened, so that theory's still going there. Like I said, still not really a fan of that. Just with how Bonnie's been portrayed previously, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that bit. But anyway, the surprising me is that we end up learning that Sentomaru had one last moment of glory in catching Bonnie from her fall before being personally, let's see, knocked out. But I do like that. It implies that these two have a bit of a history together. And I do like how Sentomaru's one last act in this arc was to help arguably someone that's associate and also probably at the moment currently an ally of Vegapunk, even though he has every reason to be wary of Bonnie since she originally came to this island to kill Vegapunk if he didn't find a way to restore her father to his former self. So I did like seeing that part, but it's mostly I'm just impressed with her using her Devil Fruit abilities again, even if it's just a repeat of Shadow Bell the Archipelago, but we'll have to wait and see who Bonnie might end up fighting, especially when there's a bunch of Marines about, including Vice Admirals. Anyway, I do like how Luffy is. Let's see, the one thing I really like about how Luffy is just being so carefree. He ends up asking Zoro if you want me to give you a hand, but Zoro's like, nah, I'm good. And Yuga stood taking on Kizaru, which makes sense. I do like how Rob Lucci is using his claws to fight Zoro's sword abilities. At least that's what I'm imagining. And he's already gone into the awakened form that he had against Luffy. And I do like the sort of banter between Zoro and Rob Lucci, as you're seeing Zoro just mocking Rob Lucci for not being on par to fight their captain, and Rob Lucci just saying, I'm fine with just standing with the number 2 of a Yonko. Now, granted, there's many ways I think people have interpreted this, and I mentioned this briefly earlier, is that may seem that after Rob Lucci got beaten by Luffy, and he didn't act in this arc, and still refuses to regard Luffy as an emperor, many said that was being disrespectful. It seems that many think that he's finally turned around and realized that, okay, Luffy is an emperor, and I gotta take him seriously, and I probably can't beat him, so now I'm just gonna try and take his, right-hand man, because that's someone that he could probably easily kill as he did defeat Zoro once before. But of course, as we know, Zoro is stronger, and he's probably going to come out victor in this bit of the bout. But I think another way to interpret Rob Lucci's own words is that Zoro's just the number 2, the second fiddle, the guy that's probably not all that tough and strong, really, compared to their captain. Which, to be fair, for a lot of pirate crews, that would mostly be the case, but the Straw Hats, of course, very different. So, yeah. But I do like how Zoro is actually seemingly using Conqueror's Haki from some of the Black Lightning, and then his King of Flame move that he used to take down King, I believe. Or at least it was used heavily in the fight against King. But, yeah. So yeah, so we have seen them actually. So we are actually seeing some of our characters using hopefully Haki or Conquerors Haki to take on the bad guys. But at least we would have liked it if Luffy did it against Kizaru, but I think Zoro doing it against Rob Lucci is fine. Now, granted, we don't see much of this fight, but I think it's at least decent for showing what it's trying to portray between Zoro and Rob Lucci for the time being. Granted, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a chapter where Zoro does eventually take down Rob Lucci, but we'll probably have to wait for the time being. But who knows? But it might be that the fight shakeups change quite a bit with judging from the next chapter, which is already out, just not officially yet. But yeah. So other than that, I do like the sort of tank that Vegapunk has installed. Let's see, for them to try and travel to let's see, rescuing Barney, which I do like how Vegapunk was like being so protective of Barney that he ends up shouting Frankie about how he just let her get kicked, and he tries to apologize because he doesn't want to really disappoint Vegapunk, because since that's his idol, at least in terms of inventions. But I will admit, I do like this tank, and I wouldn't be surprised if Luffy would have gone like, "Whoa!" But then again, like he did with Frankie's, but who knows? But anyway, you see Sanji just hopping up on the back, complaining about how he can't seem to get inside and all that stuff, despite his protests. But Vegapunk isn't really paying attention as he's concerned for Bonnie, which I think goes to show you just how much Vegapunk cares for her and probably valued his friendship with Kuma, if I had to guess. But yeah, on that bit. And he also, of course, got Frankie hopping on as well, but I do like how he gives Lilith orders, of course, to get the General Frankie Shogun. Now, granted, if I had to guess, the Frankie Shogun is not going to succeed, mostly because not because it's not strong enough to carry the Thousand Sunny, but I think it's going to get damaged like Figure Force 1. So yeah, you're probably going to get that giant robot that seemingly listens to Luffy's Nika drum beat in order to get them safely across the ocean into Elbaf. So we have that. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good tank design, really, even though Tank 8, even though it doesn't really have any cannons, but yeah. It's just more of a way of just traveling around and helping getting Vegapunk to move to places, but yeah. But anyway, but yeah. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty good chapter, and I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. I mean, I will admit, I'm a little disappointed that not all of Luffy versus Kizaru is the main focus of this chapter, but I do like some of the setups that you have there with like Frankie and Sanji joining Vegapunk to try and give the orders to the Pathistas to change sides as they can do. Not aware that Saint Saturn's there, so I wouldn't be surprised if one of them end up killing with him entering the field at last, or at least maybe possibly, if I had to guess, possibly Atlas, since the main Vegapunk probably needs to survive, but we'll have to wait and see. But I will admit, this will also give a good opportunity, probably, because this usually happens to Sanji, is that he ends up being used as to show how strong the bad guys are for when Zoro and Luffy eventually fight. I could be wrong, but we're probably going to get a Saint Saturn versus Sanji fight coming up. So we have that. And arguably probably Frankie as well, but who knows? I'll admit the one disappointing thing about Egghead so far is that Frankie has mostly been, more of a supporting role, hasn't really had a direct focus on this arc just yet, but that might change soon. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I do like this chapter and would give it a sort of 8 out of 10. Those are arguably all my thoughts. For those who ended up listening, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, particularly Luffy versus Kizaru, those silly antics, Zoro versus Rob Lucci. Let's see, the Vegapunk's plan to try and get the Pathistas back under control. More of Bonnie showing off her Devil Fruit abilities. Sentomaru getting like one last act of kindness of saving Bonnie. And let's see, Saints and clearly about to try and make his move as the Pathistas about to change sides. And I do like how we see that bit of radio wave thing there. And if I had to guess, Atlas has must have very long lungs if she's able to shout around the entire island for them to listen to what they have said. Or either that, they have some very good headphones for like obeying orders of what to do. So yeah. Overall, that's a good chapter. I hope you enjoyed all I have to say, but I'm going to have to head off now as this is getting late. But anyway, I am Blue Star Saber signing off. Thank you for listening to my stream. And I look forward to seeing you next time in the next One Piece chapter 1094 when I get a chance around to discuss it. But for now, goodbye, everyone.